You're very welcome back to Unstable TV. So you guys have sent us something way across the pond this time. And what that is, Daniela's going to tell us.
So, we like to travel, as everybody knows, and we've both been to America on separate occasions and numerous times. So, this video is 7 outdoor objects I've never seen before moving to America. Now, this person in the video is English, we're Irish, so some of the stuff is very much the same. So, are we going to feel the same as he does about some of these weird objects America has? Because America, no offence, uses it pretty weird sometimes.
Yeah, and not just about oil. So, again, the Irish watching the British to see what they find weird. That's crazy, isn't it? So, let's all watch this together and we'll have a chat about it at the end. Let's go!
Before we start, what's one weird thing about your country that other people might find strange?
For us, it's me, Hal Martin.
Hello, I'm Lawrence,
Hey.
and I'm on a quest to
Lawrence.
uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond. And speaking of lost, I'm starting to lose my marbles being in quarantine so long, and being
this is
here
an
for
old
now,
one.
I think it's 8 days. I've been giving some thought to some of the things that I miss about the outside world. And, you know, I'm not just talking about sort of fast food joints that are different in both countries, but sort of just really random mundane objects. You know, like a wheelbarrow, for example. I'm not suggesting we don't have wheelbarrows in England. That's an example of a mundane object. And I want to talk about specifically 7 of those objects that I hadn't seen until I moved
Let's
to
do it,
America.
Lawrence.
Steel water
Yep,
towers.
I'm really longing for those water towers, steel water towers specifically, because we do have water towers in Britain, but they're concrete and look really brutalist and like they were made in the 60s.
Or the
In America,
medievals.
all across the country, they have these kind of water towers that are just, they're in the middle of nowhere usually, and they're made of steel, and on the facade of them, they have the name of the town, and it's usually something like Snakesville. And you never see anybody near them or in them. I don't know what they'd be doing in them,
Yeah.
perhaps replenishing the water. I don't know how water towers work. I just know that America has a lot of them, and you see them when you're on the highway, motorway, just like our next
True.
entry.
Highway
Yes,
billboards.
highway-based
Yeah, what's the crack with
billboards.
that?
Who would have thought? I certainly
Yeah.
wouldn't have until I moved to the United States. And that's because we don't really have them in Britain. We do have them in city centres, but you're not going to find them on the side of the road, you know,
No.
because it's distracting. Especially
Yes.
when
Yeah.
it says something, you know, profound like Jesus has risen. You're going to take notice of that and,
For
you know,
Christ's
crash into the
sake.
car in front of you. And if you don't have insurance, then you are screwed. Ironically, a lot of the billboards are for insurance, so at least you know who to call. I joked
Makes
a moment
sense.
ago about the kinds of things you might see on American highway billboards, but the truth is, anyone can really get an ad on those things. They often say, advertise here if there's nothing on it. And unless you have A, no heart, and B, a death wish, you also wouldn't want to crash into the back of one of these. Yellow school buses. I didn't grow up here as a child, so of course I never got to ride one. Probably never will, unless I become a bus driver or a parent on some sort of school trip. Do they do that? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, growing up, I did see school
Realistic
buses, yellow
questions.
school buses, in films like Superman and Forrest Gump. Those are just examples of
And Spider-Man.
films. But, you know, I didn't think they existed in real life. This was quite a revelation to me. They're everywhere. You know, it's not just in Indiana where I lived. It's also in Chicago. It's everywhere. I mean, you do see these yellow school buses everywhere. And I recognize that the majority of my audience is American, and this is probably profoundly weird to hear somebody talk about how yellow school buses are very widespread in this country. But I don't think they're used anywhere else in the world, or at least to my knowledge.
I haven't seen them.
They're certainly not used in
You haven't
Britain.
seen them.
I used to get to school by jogging. That's not true. I did take the bus, but it was one of those sort of stagecoach buses, double-decker, so I got to sit on top.
The red one?
Not at the back with the cool kids, you know, at the front actually. And but they weren't yellow. And I as you can see, I like yellow. I'm wearing this in solidarity with the school children.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's just
That's
it's
a
the
weird
first
thing to
I
say.
That was weird, Jimmy Savile.
I'd be lying if I said that yellow school buses were the only outdoor object that I learned through the films. That also applies to our next entry.
Yeah.
Picket fences, the like of...
I have indeed seen white picket fences before in Iceland. What about you?
Yes, and also in Iceland, it had a very Americanized style. They had fire hydrants.
Yep.
Whatever's going on, they seem to mimic a bit of the American architecture. If any Icelandic people come in and absolutely shoot us,
Sorry.
We are sorry, but it did have a very mimic. I actually took a photograph of the fire hydrant because I was so blown away from it.
Pop it up here.
Pop up here.
And there's a white picket fence behind it as well.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it was a proper American scenery.
Yeah.
That's why I took the picture. I was like, this is very America.
But also the water towers he was talking about. Australia has steel water towers as well. I don't think they're everywhere in Australia, but we're in a very outbacky place, so maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have seen some of these outside of America. The yellow school bus is now absolutely not Ireland, just a normal bus.
Yeah.
They just slap a school bus sticker on the front of it and away they go. So yeah, so far most of these you can see outside, but it's very slim.
Which you see in the film American Beauty and other such suburban-based films. It reminds me of American suburbia now that I've lived here long enough, but for the longest time, it was just part of the sort of movie set for me to make something look very pristine and idyllic and all of that. You'll occasionally see white picket fences here in different parts of Chicago. They're kind of rare, I suppose, but you do tend to see them at houses of families who've really taken care of their garden, okay? And in Britain, we don't have these kind of fences. A lot of our gardens are sort of framed off by brick walls or sometimes just shrubs and bushes and things. That's not a euphemism. You'll also see in the US
or
mesh
sticky
fences
wickets
around gardens as well. They're kind of low down, they're just high enough that dogs can jump over them.
We've seen a lot of them.
Do because they're too stupid. And they seem like they're there to just sort of stop people from breaking in. Especially those fences that have beware of the dog on the side.
Yeah.
Now, please, America or anyone watching this, don't take this as a green light to think you can go and burgle people's houses in Britain. They still have security measures and fences too. I'm underplaying it, but we don't have white picket fences. We also don't have these.
Yeah, that's
Allow me
strange.
to clarify, our houses do have mailboxes in the United Kingdom, except our mail doesn't go into a mailbox, it goes into a letterbox, and our mail's called the post. I hope that was clear. And those letterboxes are usually on the front door, right? So letterman or postman, that letterman is a chat show host. Postman, post women, post people, right? They have to go right up to the door and become intimate with your house. Not so in the United States, or at least not always.
Have to really get in there.
Kind of houses where just in front of their garden or yard, they'll have a mailbox that's sticking on kind of a pole, and there's just this tube, I suppose, a metal tube into which you put things, and then people have to go out and get it. I suppose it does promote exercise, which is needed in these quarantine days. We just don't want to contact with the post people or mail people. It doesn't matter what you call them; they're the same entity. Well, the different people. You get the point, basically. Don't touch the post people.
Yes.
And if you do, wash your hands for 20 seconds with soap, making sure not to get your water from one of these.
Oh, dear,
I'll tell you a story. When I was 19 years old, I was a big gamer. I was well into video games, and one of the video games that I played was a little game called Die Hard with a Vengeance.
What a game.
You're just swanning around New York City, I think, probably, and you can crash your car into just stuff, right? And one of those stuffs was a fire hydrant, a very American-looking fire hydrant that looks like this. They're more or less cylindrical, speaking in a pitch that only dogs recognise. I only described them as that to differentiate them from fire hydrants in Britain. Fire hydrants in Britain are nowhere near as sexy, and believe me, I didn't think I'd wake up today and say that either. They're just these brutalist-looking square things with an H on them, and no, they're not for landing miniature helicopter, nor do they signify a hospital. I actually don't know what they do. If a fire breaks out in the middle of the road, when does that ever happen? I wouldn't know what to do. I don't know how to operate these things, right? Who does?
I'm blown
the experts.
Away.
Whereas American fire hydrants are absolutely gorgeous. They kind of look like elongated fireman helmets. Was that on purpose? Again, for the benefit of the dogs.
Probably.
It can't have been, and I'm absolutely certain I wouldn't have made the correlation had I not been stuck in here for 8 days. I'm going mad. How does the outside world look right now? Do people still have wind chimes? Do they still raise these?
The American flag.
Of course.
The American flag. And I suppose there's a very unique reason why I didn't encounter this until I moved to America, and it's because it's America's flag.
Fair.
So that makes total sense right off the bat. I think in Britain, pound for pound, we probably, or at least when I lived there, didn't fly the flag, the British flag, as much as America tends to fly its flag. It's very culturally ingrained to do that, isn't it? My in-laws do it. Everybody does it. Even educated fleas do it. That would be impossible. They don't have the strength to lift up fabric. But they're bloody smart, hence being educated. I don't know how I got sidetracked there. But yes, the US flag is absolutely everywhere. Again, this is not just something you'll see in films.
It's true.
And I think there's an understanding that Americans are deeply patriotic. How do you pronounce it? Let me know.
Patriotic.
And it's not just outside of people's houses that you'll see these flags. You'll see them on the back of trucks. You'll see them hanging
Everywhere.
on sort of company buildings.
Everywhere.
Don't know why I pronounced it like that. And just sort of everywhere. I mean, it really is everywhere. Sometimes you'll see absolutely huge American flags, and you can usually see them for about 5 miles away. That way, at least you know what country you're in. And so that's it. 7 outdoor objects I only encountered after moving to America. I just wanted to list those to remind us of what we're missing. I mean, admittedly, we're missing quite a bit more than those things.
That was a good list.
Yeah, that was actually very impressive to make the mundane interesting.
That's true.
Yeah.
You could get that excited over a fire hydrant. Us.
That's very impressive skill to have. So shout out to your original content creator. Make sure you check him out, give him a like, subscribe, and share and all that good YouTube stuff. And a shout out to you guys for sending this one over. You know, at the start you're like, what are these going to be? But actually, it does make you think a lot.
It does. I personally think the white picket fences are lovely.
Yeah.
I think, like you said there, it makes it nice and clean. I feel like. I think they should be everywhere. I've only ever seen them in America and Iceland. I feel like it should be in every estate, in every suburb, or whatever you call them around the world. Because I just think it looks nice. It looks pretty.
It is right what he said. It's pretty clean, pretty cinematic looking. It does look like a film set. I first encountered these white picket fences in the Tom Sawyer novels when he convinced people to paint them.
Oh.
Back when we had the likes of Dennis the Menace and stuff like that, we had good old Tom Sawyer who was good at convincing the kids to make them cinematic white fences. Now, another thing that absolutely blew me out of the pond, no pun intended, from across the pond, absolutely pun intended, that yellow H that was always on our neighbourhood roads. It was mostly used as a goalpost or something to tip and say, I'm not on the tag games. But there was a fire hydrant the whole time. I just thought it was H for here and now.
Yeah, it's the fire engine comes with the hose and you just plug the hose in. Water.
See, you learn something. Every day is a school day.
I think the fire hydrants are probably better because not a lot of people are actually going to know about that.
Even the dogs would agree.
Exactly. They're not going to know where they are. So I feel like the fire hydrants are so prominent and bright and colourful that you can't miss them. But the little ones stuck on the wall with painted yellow, it is hard to miss. So
it's like it's spoon fed to you.
Yeah.
Which sometimes, in a case of an emergency, it needs to be explained to me as if I'm 5 years old.
Exactly.
Them billboards are an absolute atrocity, though.
Yeah.
But they're like cinema screens when you're driving on them American highways. What he's saying, though, they are very distracting. Like what he said about Christ has risen. Yes, oh my God, if you see them and you're driving, you nearly would go.
But if you're seeing a funny one and you start laughing, you're driving on a highway. Why are they there? Surely there's better places for them.
But I understand from a marketing perspective why they're there.
I understand from a car dealership and insurance perspective why they're there. And that's something I haven't seen anywhere else either. So
we did see one over here. We seen one in Australia. We seen it in
a billboard on a highway.
We did in Perth, a massive Jim Beam one.
We did see one over here, and of course it was for alcohol. Yeah. We did see one over here, it's true.
Of course, we're not sponsored by them. That wasn't a shout out to them.
Also, Jim Beam, if you want to, we're right here.
Yeah, you're welcome. You were the only example we had. But yeah, that was the one we seen.
Yeah, that's true, we did. It's not as prominent though, but yeah, we did see one.
Yeah, it's not something you see a lot here. So what was your favourite obscure thing off this list, Neil?
Yeah, the white picket fences, like I said, I think they're quite cute and I like them, and I think they should be all around the world. What about you?
The yellow H for the fire hydrant in the UK and Ireland. I did not realise, Ireland and the UK, Ireland's first, Ireland and the UK, the yellow H was a fire hydrant the whole time. Jesus, Ireland, can you not just do anything different now?
Nah.
We have to copy the UK. It's like we were occupied by them. No, but that's crazy. But yeah, red seems a lot better because you're going to be drawn to that more.
Yeah.
Because we're a simple species.
Exactly.
So, of course, let us know your guys' thoughts about this in the comments section down below. Do let us know, should we do an obscure list for Australia from our perspective?
We should, actually. That's true. And if you want us to check out any other videos like this or any other videos at all, you know what to do. Comment section down below.
That's been our 2 cents, and we'll chop ourselves out of this.